oil pulling. அது எப்படி பண்ணுறது? காலை எழுந்ததும் எதுவும் சாப்பிடாமல் இதயம் வளத்தை வாயில ஊத்தி நல்லா கொப்பளிக்கணும். அப்புறம் அதை துப்பிடணும். இதுதான் oil pulling. Oil pulling. Very simple, very effective.
Very warm good morning to one and all present here. The guests of honors, Shri Sunil Mathur sir, Shri D.G. Radhan sir, the other delegates on and off the dais, the overwhelmingly large gathering today. It's an honor and privilege to have this opportunity to provide the analysis of the budget 2025. This budget, after a very long time we should say, has been as a budget which is universally accepted and applauded by everyone, because there have been huge number of changes. I think many of these changes were expected and wanted and desired for a very long time, and it has been delivered, maybe over delivered also. So it's a very huge budget. We can seeing the news which happened before the budget. Around 1 month before the budget, half a month before the budget, we saw direct tax collection highest in the history of India. 16% it has increased compared to the previous year. Almost 15 trillion per tax collections have come. Number of tax filers have gone up exponentially. And normally, as part of our various organizations and All India Taxpayer Associations as well, we had given various representations. Now, one of the key reasons why the collection has gone up, in my view, is the AIS and TIS. I love sharing this story and this example, what happened. I have a very dear client of ours, very nice person. He has been filing his returns with us for more than 30-35 years. And this gentleman is very close to the family also, you should say. But he has been filing for 30 years, and I think he is paying the same fees also for 30 years. So what I said is, this time I want to increase the fees by 50 rupees. I know that 50 rupees is nothing for him, nothing for me also. So when he came to file the return, I said, sir, this time I am increasing the fees by 50 rupees. So, Abhishek, 50 rupees? I am a middle class person. How you can do 50 rupees? I am so poor, this is not fair. You cannot do this and all. Yes, sir. 50 rupees after so many years, sir. Today parking itself, you have to park in a building, it will cost 50 rupees. What do you mean? No, Abhishek, this is not fair. I have been filing for so many years. I know your grandmother, she has cooked food for me. I said, how is that relevant, sir? No, it's 50 too much, Abhishek. I cannot afford all this. You have to, I said, okay, fine, sir, leave it. So he left after 1.5 hours, he paid the same old fees only, left. So next year, our same client came to file the returns of income with us. This time the AIS TIS is there. See, generally they say, you should share everything with your child accountant. Now, one of my cousins, he is the auditor of one of the large families in Tamil Nadu. And I generally ask him, how is it to deal with them, politically connected, all that. So he'll always tell me, they share everything with me. They will tell my grandson ran away with this girl. He did this, he did that, all that. But that savings bank interest alone, they will not disclose to me. So similar to that, you expect your client to share everything with you. So next year when this person came, we had the AIS-TIS. The same assessee who said 50 rupees I cannot afford, sir, I am very poor, nothing I can do. We are opening the AIS-TIS. Sale of equity shares and securities. 85 lakh rupees. 85 lakh. 35 years he has never told he has Demat account also. So I asked him, sir, whether you sold shares, 85 lakh rupees. His answer was not yes or no. His answer was, sir, how you found out? Sir, you forget how I found out, whether you have done or not. I have done, but idhurku na kaatnade illiye. Similarly, people there who will say, they will be, generally I am sure all the professional ears will echo the same sentiment. If I say today, 1st of April, sir, forms are ready for filing. Anytime you give the information, client will come on 31st July at 3:30 p.m. Sir, you have to file the return. What, sir, you have come so late? Sir, you are the only person who can do it. In the very dialogue, we cannot say no. Say you put so much trust, we will file. Then I will ask, sir, what is your savings bank interest? Give me your passbook. Sir, I have to put entry, sir. How? I don't have time to go, then it will become late. Tomorrow it will we cannot file the return. But there is one section, he will teach me. AITPA one section is there, sir. Up to 10,000 deduction is there. You put less than 10,000. Sir, are you sure? Yeah, less than 10,000 only you put. So, okay, fine. 9,999. If addition comes also, 1 rupee only will come addition. After that we can do. So, 9,999 we will file. Same assessee who says I have only one bank account teaching me about AITPA, AISTA is showing 7 bank accounts. Savings bank interest itself 3 lakh rupees is there. So, in my view, this AISTA has been a game changer in collecting information from various sources. Earlier, the assessee, the taxpayer, he has to declare himself. You have to be honest. Then department based on your return used to do scrutiny. But today, your information is only supplementary. Thanks to the advent of technology and sharing of information, all the details are being collected by the income tax and they are able to do more effective assessments. This is, for example, from the GST records, some information which has been collected. Sometimes when everything comes, it's not good also. Here somebody has responded, a taxpayer, saying, why you have not submitted, sir? My CA has run away with a girl, due to which I am not getting my GST login details. Sometimes excess information also is there, but we must be able to figure the garbage in and garbage out. The fact of the matter is, this budget, let's try to have some involvement. If 1 star is not so good, 5 star is amazing. Where would you rank this budget? Can you shout your answer? 5, 3 star, 4, 1 star. Okay. Then 5, 7. There are 7 and all they are showing, sir. 5 only maximum, sir. So now, why do you think it's 5? Many of the people saying 5. The rebate. Yes. Rebate under section 87A up to 12 lakh rupees, which is the big talk about the budget. You don't have to pay up to 12 lakh rupees. So, should I start off with the rebate? I decided no. Because even the finance minister yesterday in the budget said, I will come to personal income tax in the end. Everyone clapped. Like that, even I will keep that discussion to the end. So, I will finish all the other major changes before I come to it. The first major change I wanted to talk about is charitable trusts. Charitable trusts, we have a lot of people attending here who also are part of very, very large charitable trusts. And in these charitable trusts, there have been some practical challenges which are there. Practical challenges, which is in terms of filing the forms. People may make mistakes in the charitable trust form filing. Subsequently, when the mistake comes to rise, they cancel the registration. Now, it may be a small mistake. Instead of putting 10, I put 100. That is also a mistake. Saying that I am doing charitable activities but not doing, that is also a mistake. But they are not equal. One is a typing error, one is a factual misconsideration or misdeclaration. But both were treated as a mistake in the form. So in order to correct this issue, they have relaxed the provisions when it comes to charitable trust. Similar to that, period of registration of trusts is a very, very important change, very, very critical change, where earlier if you have a registration it was more or less permanent. But then in 2022 they brought an amendment saying if you do a registration for a charitable trust, it is valid for a period of 5 years. It's valid for a period of 5 years. Now in order to ease this 5-year renewal process for trusts, it has been extended from 5 years to 10 years. It is increased to 10 years as long as your turnover or your income before the exemptions is less than 5 crore rupees. You have to get the approval only once every 10 years. Hugely beneficial move for many trusts. They'll be saddled with otherwise constant renewal, constant applications, which has been removed for 10 years. It's a very, very good development and a hugely beneficial move which has been done. Startup benefit. Startups, as always, I used to say, this slide I have not changed in every budget for the last 8 budgets. Every time they will say startups is ending this year, it is extended by 1 year, extended by 1 year. They have made my life easier now. I don't have to use this slide for next 5 years because the startup exemption is extended for 5 years now and not just 1 year. So also a very, very good move. Now before I come to the personal income taxes, another major development which has happened is the TDS. Changes to TDS provisions. TDS is nothing but your tax deducted at source, where when you get your salary or you get your professional tax or professional receipt, an amount is reduced from you and paid on your behalf to the government. Now this TDS, in my view, has been one of the most effective tools in finding out the nature of income and the nature of expenses of assessees. More than all the other efforts, AIS, TIS and TDS has been huge in giving information to the income tax department about the nature of transactions of a person. Similar to that, it has also got people to file the returns. Because if I genuinely have to get a refund, if TDS is deducted, I will file my return. Even if it is 2,000 rupees, I will file my return to get that 2,000 rupees back. So it has also increased the number of tax filers and what we call the base of income tax as far as filing a return of income is concerned. So that has also been a key driver. But in recent times, economy is growing, more and more transactions are happening, more and more businesses are there, more and more taxpayers are there. But the number of TDS rates and the low TDS threshold meant heavy compliance, which a small business person may not be able to do. We have to engage a professional to do it. Every time the transaction happens, I have to deduct the TDS, I have to give him a form, I have to ensure that the quarterly TAN, I file my quarterly return, I properly fill the details there. If I make a mistake there, somebody will come and tell me, you have made a mistake, please correct it, I have to correct it. Each of these steps involve professionals or time, mind, space, whatever you may call. So in order to ease this, two major changes. The first one is scrapping of TCS on purchases. Now earlier there was, in 2020, they introduced a TCS provision saying that when the seller is making the sale, I am selling goods, I am making the sale, I have to collect TCS on behalf of the buyer. So there will be a portion of that value of the transaction which goes to tax. That me as the seller, on your behalf or on my behalf, I have to reduce that amount and remit it against your TAN. Now this was a little complex for many people, but somehow they made it more complex last time, or rather in 2021. I don't know why this happened. Even at that time we raised why you are doing this. In 2021, less than, you can see, almost 8 months between these two budgets, they brought another saying that is TCS. Now we are bringing TDS also, in a TDS. Now buyer has to deduct. So 1 crore transaction, then buyer has to deduct TDS. Then question came, sir, buyer 1 crore, seller also 1 crore, whether TDS and TCS you have to do. Then they said, oh, we have to issue a clarification. If TDS is applicable, then TCS is not needed. If TDS is applicable, then TCS is not needed. Sir, how I will know TDS is not applicable? You have to do the research, you have to see they satisfy. How will I do TCS is not applicable? If TDS is not applicable, TCS is applicable. Already confusing. No, to discuss itself, it feels confusing to me. It was practically a nightmare for many people. Because if somebody does not disclose properly, then you will be in violation of the provision. You will be in violation if the person you are selling to does not disclose properly. So this was a very challenging provision to execute, and the mistake happened because they brought TCS first instead of TDS. If TDS itself came first, nothing would have been settled. So this budget, they have scrapped the TCS. It's a very, very good move. Huge relief once again for businesses. You don't have to do that TCS at all, but TDS is still there. So whoever is the person who is the buyer, he has the responsibility to deduct the TDS like any other professional fee or contract or any other expenditure you are incurring. Much like that, that TDS is applicable. TCS has been completely and wholly scrapped. They have also increased some TDS thresholds across many things. I think the most important one here is interest on securities, that is your FD interest, etc. Or you have a deposit with a company, a corporate deposit. Normally the company or the bank will deduct TDS if the interest paid is in excess of 5,000 if you are a non-senior, or if you are a senior it was 50,000. Now They've increased for normal people from 5,000 to 10,000, but for senior citizens, they've increased it from 50,000 up to 1 lakh. It's a huge move, because many senior citizens now will have the relief that tax will not get deducted against that income. They may be earning only 1.5 lakhs, 1.6 lakhs. A basic exemption now is 4 lakhs. After this budget is 4 lakhs. When it is 4 lakhs and I've incurred only 2 lakhs income, 1.6 lakhs, then if I have TDS deducted, I have to once again file my return just to get the refund of 2,000 rupees, 3,000, whatever that amount may be. So in order to relieve them, this is a huge move. Many other thresholds have been increased like this. Now let us come to the most important, change in the budget, which is choosing between the new regime and old regime and what is the latest changes. Now before I get into the specifics of the rebate and other aspect, I wanted to touch upon, because many questions came to me about the old regime, how the new regime evolved. So I wanted to put a slide, how the new regime has evolved. The new tax regime was introduced in 2020. In 2020 it was introduced. In 5 years, it has evolved like anything. You look at this. In 2020, when it was first introduced, there were only 2 benefits from it. They introduced a new simplified tax regime. It has new slab rates, which is different from the old tax regime. No other changes. No other changes are there. And needless to say, I still remember in the first budget, when people were asked, after the Honorable Finance Minister presents the budget, there's a press conference. And in the press conference, they asked, sir, how many people are filing in the new regime? And one of the Finance Ministry officials said, as per our calculations, around 49% are filing. The moment I heard that, I was shocked. I said, how 49%? It's impossible. That means almost 1 in every 2 tax filers are adopting the new regime at that time. With just those 2 benefits. There's no other benefit whatsoever. Just simplified tax rate, increased tax slab structure. I said, it's impossible. Luckily, the journalist who asked that question also noticed that. She said, are you telling me 49% of individuals are opting for the new tax regime? They said, no, we are talking about corporates. I said, no, I am not asking for corporates, I am asking for individuals. They said, then they all looked at each other, they discussed and said, actually that data is not available. So later came out that I think 99% of the tax filers were still in the old income tax regime, not the new income tax regime. But as you can see, in 2021 and 2022, there were no changes. In 2023, however, 4 new changes came. They added a basic standard deduction. They gave a marginal relief. And they said a lower surcharge for the super rich. Family pensioners also get a standard deduction they brought. Even at this stage, choosing between the old and new was still 50-50. People were still saying, I can still get benefits under the old regime. Why I should go for the new regime? I'd rather take these benefits. It will give me flexibility. Then in the last year budget, they brought even more changes. So 7 benefits were brought. Slab rates were further increased. Taxes were further reduced. Standard deduction was further increased. Higher rebate was given. Marginal relief, lower surcharge for super rich, family pensions get deductions. 7 benefits. In the latest press conference of the Honorable Finance Minister, they asked, sir, how many people are filing in the new tax regime? This time no data available discussion and all, like this in fingertips. 75% people are filing new regime. Go check, they are telling. Because this clearly reflects the move for the taxpayers to the new tax regime. But still, the 28% or 25% of people who are filing the old regime made a conscious choice to choose the old regime because it was better. Even last year when we presented this, I had said still, when I compared the old regime and new regime, still the old regime can be beneficial in many cases, provided you plan properly, which the new regime cannot match. But yesterday's budget, today's scenario is totally different. Now you have 9 benefits. So you can see that the new regime, born as a baby, in 5 years it has grown up into a toddler, teenager, adult. Now it has become a Jurassic baby itself. Totally different. You see the number of benefits there. Rebate up to 12 lakh rupees, etc. Hugely beneficial. What has changed in the old tax regime? No change whatsoever since 2020. The old tax regime has remained the same, or simply to tell, we can say Panninga Kutama varum, all that. That's only for our benefit that we are saying, or our satisfaction. The fact remains that the old tax regime has not moved with inflation, has not got any benefits whatsoever. And I normally share this when I do the new tax regime or old tax regime. I had to change it this time a little bit.
தங்கச்சி உண்மையை சொல்றவங்க தெய்வத்துக்கு சமம் சொல்லுவாங்க. இவங்க ரெண்டு பேரும் மாறி மாறி உண்மையை சொல்றாங்க. இந்த ரெண்டு தெய்வத்துல ஏதாச்சும் ஒரு தெய்வத்துக்கு மாலையை போட்டு நீயே தேர்ந்தெடுத்துக்கிட்டாய். போமா வழியுமா போ.
It appears now the new tax regime has become the preferred choice no matter what. With the latest changes. You know, I used to get a sense from the Honorable Finance Ministry that they used to say that after every budget, why taxpayers are not appreciating the changes we brought, why they are not appreciating the changes we brought. Reminded of this incident. One lady goes to a doctor and she says, Doctor, I'm having full body pain. Full body pain, doctor. He's saying, full body pain. Show me. She said, then he said, touch your forehead. Is it paining? It's paining, doctor. Touch your chin. It's paining, doctor. Touch your elbow. Doctor is paining so much. Then touch your shoulder. Doctor is paining. Touch your knees. Doctor is paining. Please, doctor, my entire body is paining. Please do something. They say usually. The issue is very complex, but the solution is simple. He said, your problem is simple. You have a broken finger. It's nothing else. So when you identify the issue, addressing it is fairly simple. I think the issue has been identified very, very clearly this time. It's been identified very, very clearly. And that is why we were normally saying, and every budget we used to say this, it was 2,50,000 in 2014, it still remains 2,50,000 today. Even in the new regime last year also, it was still 3 lakhs only. What is this? There's no benefit. You do a calculation, and if you must have seen the videos before our program started. I had an interview with one of the Tamil news channels and they were asking, what is your expectation for the rebate? He said a calculation. 2014, 10 years have elapsed. If you give 50,000 benefit every year, increasing your basic limit by 50,000, it still comes to 5 lakh rupees. So 2.5 lakhs plus 5 lakhs comes to 7.5 lakhs. Maybe they will increase the rebate up to 7.5 or 8 lakhs. So that was our dream, that it will come to 8 lakhs. Of course, there were some rumors in the market up to 10 lakhs itself. And I told very categorically, I told the interview, 10 lakhs now I pay langa, it's not going to happen. Don't even dream about it. But when the Honorable Finance Minister announced that you are going to have a rebate up to 12 lakh rupees, completely taken everyone by shock. It's a huge benefit. Nobody expected this. Any panel anywhere across India, you watch anything, nobody had the gall to even suggest that it could possibly be even 12 lakh rupees. This is a huge benefit. Huge benefit. Even if you take 50,000 per year, it does not come close to 12 lakh rupees. So making the rebate up to 12 lakh rupees is in fact a massive over expectation, and they have delivered beyond what anybody could have expected. Whatever concerns the middle class may have had in the past, this budget most certainly, and not only middle class, 12 lakh rupees. I think even a chartered accountant who's a fresher today does not earn 12 lakh rupees. A professional who's in demand in the market, who is getting qualified just now, does not earn 12 lakh rupees. He is going to have tax-free income maybe for the first 2 or 3 years of his career. It's huge. It's huge. Can you even imagine that? I think it's a brilliant amendment which has come, and we have to definitely appreciate. Having said, yes, deserves a round of applause. Having said that, there are certain conditions which I want to clarify Because many people had these doubts, even repeatedly. In the live phone calls we had during the TV interviews, these questions were very, very common. Now the first question, the Honorable Finance Minister said, it is not available for special incomes. What is this special income? Oh, I am such a special person. You are not special person and all. Incomes which are taxable at special rates, which is nothing but your capital gains. Any capital gains you have on sale of land, sale of shares, sale of building or mutual funds, whether it is long term or short term, it will not be eligible for 87A rebate at all. Not even 1 rupee will be eligible. Please remember that not even 1 rupee will be eligible if you have income from special rates. Even cryptocurrency or horse trading and horse racing and betting, all of these have what we call a special rate of tax. No matter what your income is, these rates are applicable. And when these rates are applicable, 87A is not at all applicable. Let's take a scenario. I have only capital. I'm a retired person, no pension also. I'm just trading or I'm doing transactions. I'm investing in shares. So when I make a huge long-term capital gains, 10 lakh rupees, do I have to file my return of income? Yes, I have to file my return of income. Do I have to pay taxes? Yes, you have to pay your taxes. Even though it is less than 12 lakh rupees, rebate is not applicable where you have income from capital gains. Please remember that. So if you have business income or salary income, house property income, interest, dividend, etc., then okay, you can take rebate. But if you have capital gains or sale of crypto, etc., rebate is not applicable for those incomes. So what if I have both incomes? What if I have salary income, business income, and I also have capital gains? What will happen in that case? Then the incomes which you have other than capital gains, that will be eligible for rebate up to 12 lakh rupees. But otherwise, other incomes will not be eligible for that. But what if my other incomes is 10 lakh rupees or 11 lakh rupees and my capital gains is 2 lakh rupees? Now other income is less than 12 lakhs, but capital gains is 2 lakhs, so it crosses the 12 lakh limit. If I add both, it comes to 13 lakhs. Will I be eligible for rebate? Will I be eligible for rebate in this? I am saying capital gains not eligible, okay. But other than capital gains less than 12. If I add capital gains is crossing 12. Am I eligible for rebate? The answer is no. You will not be eligible for rebate in such a scenario where your total income exceeds 12 lakh rupees. You are not eligible for rebate. Please remember, you will have to include your total income to see whether the 12 lakh is crossing. Then they will see, oh, it's less than 12 lakh, whether capital gains is there, yes, that is not eligible. But your total income is still very much the same, and it's a very, very important aspect to consider. The next thing, most common question which has been asked, sir, do I have to file my return of income? Now, the Honorable Finance Minister yesterday said, the basic exemption was first 2.5, we increased it to 3, then we increased it to 5, then we increased it to 7, this time we are increasing it to 12. Please note, it's not the basic exemption. The Honorable Finance Minister was making the base level she meant, but she ended up saying basic exemption. The base limit is still very much 4 lakhs. So most questions which were asked yesterday, sir, they are saying till 12 lakhs we don't have to pay tax. Why they are putting the first 3 slabs? It is not at all relevant, no. Why you are saying for that up to 12 lakh 0 you can put? Why you are putting rates? The reason is simple, twofold. If your income crosses 12 lakh rupees, then there is absolutely no rebate. It is a progressive tax system. Normally, progressive tax is done by raising the exemption level. In order to avoid raising the exemption level too high, rebate under 87A was introduced, saying that let people file. If I say 12 lakh is basic exemption, yavanu return file panna maatan. There will be people working in multinationals across the world, across the country. who will not be filing the return saying basic exemption. So there will be no data at all about taxpayers. So keeping the basic exemption low but increasing the rebate is a way to get people to file the return of income and also collect the data. So therefore, if your income crosses 12 lakh rupees, please note immediately rebate is gone. Of course, marginal relief was there up to 12 lakh 60,000 where you'll calculate. The logic was 12 lakh and 1. 12 lakh and 1 if I have, tax you have to calculate, full tax will come without rebate. 11 lakh 99,999 if I have, tax is 0. So by earning 2 rupees, I end up paying so much more, 60,000 more taxes. So in order to give relief for those people, they brought marginal relief, but that also was brought only for new tax regime, not for the old tax regime. So marginal relief is still there, but please remember it's a progressive tax. If you cross that 12 lakhs, you have to pay tax on 8 lakhs and 12 lakhs at these applicable rates as well. Point number 1. Point number 2. Do I have to file my return of income? Once again, the answer is yes. You have to file your return of income if your basic exemption is 4 lakh rupees, if your income, gross total income, not after the any new regime, no deductions and all, but whatever little deduction is there, that also you should not consider. Exemptions under capital gains also you should not consider. Without considering that, if it crosses 4 lakh rupees, I have to file my return of income. I am duty bound to file it. Even though my tax is 0 up to 12 lakh rupees, I still have to file my return of income. You cannot shirk that responsibility of filing. And please remember, if you miss filing your return of income, there's a huge penalty which is being levied up to 10,000, and department can also initiate prosecution action also if it is a deliberate and willful non-filing of the return. So once again, as I always say in any of our All India Taxpayer Association meetings, I always encourage tax filers, if you are in doubt, file your return of income. File your return of income. It is better to file it, enjoy tax-free status than avoid filing it. Now once again, now I have a very important question to ask. Your old regime versus new regime, which is better? The question, this is the comparison between the old regime and new regime. Old regime looks like that black and white pictures actually, 1940s pictures. What you are saying, 2.5 lakhs and all, we are talking about 12 lakhs, somewhere we have gone. And this is still remaining at this level, where 2.5 to 5 lakhs, 5%, 5 to 10 lakhs, 20%, above 10 is 30%. Look at this new regime, colorful, bright, nice purple and gold, where the regimes, the tax rates are higher or lower, the slab rates are much higher, hugely beneficial. So, last time, I had taken the efforts. We were, of course, the first person to put this on screen when we had our budget last year. When on the day of the budget it was announced, we did a comparison. This is from last year, where we checked old versus new, which is better, and we found what we call a magic number. If you have that magic number, you can decide if you are going for the old regime or the new regime. Now, my question is, what is our magic number this time? Or do we have a magic number at all? What do I mean by magic number? Is there a point that we can find that the old regime is still better than the new regime? Is there any particular point where the old regime is still better than the new regime? And I have the honor, so far we were working very fervoriously on this till late night around 2 o'clock. Both Divya and I were trying different permutation combination. Till the morning we are trying, tracking. So far I have found nobody has got this. We are the first organization maybe across India to develop this, that we have found the magic numbers. We have found the magic number where you can simply check whether the new regime or old regime is better for you. When your total exemptions and deductions is less than 4,87,500, 4,87,500, if your total exemptions and deductions less than 4,87,500, the new regime will always be better. which means your ETC, ATD, HRA, LTA, interest on housing loan, everything put together. If it comes less than 4,87,500, don't even bother looking at the old regime. The new will always be better for you. It will always be better for you. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So 4,87,500. Last time when we did this, the figure was 1,60,000. 1,60,000 was that. Now it has gone to 4,87,500. You can see the jump. Now, is there a top line? Now, last time I said, if your exemptions and deductions was 3,75,000 and more, don't bother looking at the new regime. The old will always be better. If it was 3,75,000 in the last budget, what about now? Is there a figure? When your rebate is up to 12 lakh rupees, is there a figure? The answer is yes. There is still a figure where the old regime will always be better, but that figure is rupees 7,75,000. So if you have exemptions and deductions which are available only in the old regime, not in the new regime, which comes up to rupees 7,75,000 or more, then every single time the old regime will be better for you and not the new regime. What if I have exemptions and deductions between 4,87,500 and 7,75,000? You have to calculate. In some cases the old regime is better. In some cases the new regime is better. Now your photos can be taken here where we have calculated it for you. We did a very extensive calculation where we took incomes at different levels, we took deductions at different levels, and we compared and contrasted versus the latest tax regime and the old regime to see which is better. And you can see in some cases still the old regime is better, but once it crosses that 7,75,000, which is the second last column from the right, you can see over there. Once it crosses 7,75,000, it is either the same or old is better. It's either the same or old is better. But before that, at some point, the new becomes better. So if your exemptions and deductions is 7,75,000 and more, always the old is better, or it is at least the same. I would always choose the old if that's the case. That it is a better regime for you. But now, let us come to the practical side of it. Let us come to the practical side. Sir, who is going to get exemption deduction of 7,75,000? The avenues to get these deductions today are not there. Normally, if I am a taxpayer, what are the exemptions, deductions I enjoy under old regime? ATC, up to 1,50,000 I will take the benefit. ATD, if I am a non-senior, 25,000. If I have senior citizen parents, another 50,000, totally 75,000. HRA, LTA, maybe 1,80,000, very ambitious figure I have put. Interest on housing loan for self-occupied property. Please remember one very critical thing, many people tend to forget this, is when it comes to income from house property, under the new income tax regime, interest on borrowing for a house property is allowed only if it is let out. Only if your property is let out do you have a deduction under the new income tax regime. Whereas under the old, whether it is let out or self-occupied, I have a deduction. Even if it is self-occupied, up to 2 lakh rupees, I can take a deduction. We are talking about a middle class budget. Normal middle class don't buy a house to let it out. They most likely buy to stay themselves or their family, parents, son, daughter, like that. They do not buy it to let out. So therefore, removing interest on housing loan for self-occupied property in new regime seems very strict in my view. Seems very strict, but it is what it is. So the old regime still has that benefit. Now other than that, ATG, ATTTA, ATTTB, education, housing loan, savings bank interest, everything put together, I still have to have 1,70,000 from that. And 1,80,000 from HRA, LTA, food allowance, medical allowance, everything put together, I need to have at least 1,80,000. Only then I hit this target of 7,75,000. then only I can confidently say, always old regime will be better. How many people can hit the 7,75,000? My view is very, very less. Because the data is obviously available with the income tax, and that is why they fixed these magic numbers. They did not announce it. We had to work it and find out the magic numbers. But they have definitely done the analysis and the study to figure out this number. So someone having exemption deduction up to 7,75,000, in my view, is very, very, very rare. Rarest of rare cases, you can say. There must be countable on your fingers the number of people who have this kind of incomes or these kind of exemptions. So, unless you have exemptions between 4.87 lakhs, 875 lakhs and 7,75,000, most likely for you, the new regime will be better. But if you have this 4.8 lakhs to 5 lakhs, it is still possible. You may have a housing loan on self-occupied, interest on, your education loan, ATC, ATD and all put together. There is a high chance you can still cross 4.8 lakhs. But see the increase. This 4.875, last time that figure was 1,60,000. Look at how high it has become. More than double, almost 3 times it has become. Almost 3 times it has become. And whereas the ceiling to choose the old regime, if your exemptions cross this much, don't bother looking at new regime, old will be better. Last time it was 3,75,000, now it is 7,75,000. Somewhere it has gone. So we are looking at a scenario where I think maybe 95 to 97% of the tax filers will choose the new regime only. Because not only you are getting rebate, you are getting a higher tax slab also. 2.5 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 and above. There you are having 4 to 8, 8 to 4 to 0 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 12, 12 to 16, 16 to 20, 20 to 24. So many slabs you have. So by the time you come to 30% rate, you have traveled to so many incomes. So that itself will give taxpayers, even if you are at the highest bracket, you will get a deduction or a reduction in your tax of close to 1,10,000 rupees by choosing the new tax regime, which cannot be matched by the old regime unless you hit these magic numbers. So these magic numbers are critical because many of the employers will start asking the employees to declare now which regime you are going. You cannot sit and calculate for everyone. Remember the magic numbers. You can easily say, if your exemption deductions hit this, then you decide either old or new. If it is crossing this, don't look at new, go for old. If it is less than this, go for new only, don't bother looking at old. Only if it comes in between, you need to decide. And of course, the most critical aspect is, please remember, now the new income tax regime is the default regime. That means, if you don't file your return of income before 31st of July, whatever respective year, the due date of filing, you will not have the option of the alternative regime. The alternative regime is the old regime now. So suppose you have this much deductions, 7,75,000 you are having deductions, you missed filing the return of income before 31st July, everything will go to waste. You cannot take the tax benefit of it. You will end up paying a higher tax only. So filing your return of income in time is very, very important. Timing is always critical. There was a bus full of wives. And that bus, it was going to Himalayas. When it was going in the road, it crashed, it fell into the river. All the wives died. The husbands are all very sad. They were very upset. They were crying for one full week. Except one husband. He was crying for 2 weeks. So all the others went to cheer him saying, don't worry, I understand why you are so upset, come on. He said, no, I am upset. What happened? No, all your wives died when they went in the bus. My wife missed that bus. That's why I was so. Sometimes you don't have to be the wife that misses the bus. Ensure that the 31st of July bus you always catch it. Because otherwise, Even if you have high taxation, high deductions, you lose everything. You lose everything. Earlier, the stakes were not that much. 3,75,000 ponalum pona, it's okay. It's not a big amount. Now we are talking about 7,75,000. Huge outflow already gone from your pockets. So if you are filing new regime, better you come June itself. Even before TDS is updated, you say, I will file my return. Try to plan accordingly and enjoy the benefits of a lower tax, which is very, very less as it is at the moment. So this is just the exhaustive list of deductions and exemptions, what is available under the old regime, which is not there in the new regime. This is also something I have not seen anywhere. I searched online, I couldn't find it. Finally, we prepared the table. We made the list by looking at each provision and trying to bring it out. And when you compare and contrast, you can see what are the exemptions which are available under the old regime, which is not there in the new regime, and you can plan accordingly. So just to run it through, standard deduction, of course now it is 75,000 when it comes to the new regime. Rebate under 87A, it is much higher, it comes to 60,000 under the new regime. HRA, LTA, food allowance, uniform allowance, travel allowance, professional tax allowance, entertainment allowance, interest on self-occupied property, ATC, ATD, employee contribution to NPS, your disabled person, ATU, which is there 75,000 to 1,50,000, interest on education loan, interest on vehicle, electric vehicle, if you get additional deduction is there. All of these benefits are there only in the old regime. It is not there in the new regime. It is not there in the new regime. So in such a scenario, when you are calculating your magic numbers, 4.87 lakhs or 7,75,000, whatever it may be, please keep in mind these are the exemptions, deductions you have to compare. Don't stop at ATC, etc. This is every single thing that is available and not available. So compare these two and make your choice. So now can I get your rating for this one? How will you rate this change? 1 star to 5 stars? 5, 4, 5, 5. 1 star? Congress person or 1 star for this is very, very unfair, I say. So, 5 star. So I have been little liberal. I have given 7 stars out of 5 star because it's definitely exceeding expectations more than anyone could have dreamt of. So definitely something which is worth talking about. Now, the next major thing I do want to talk about, even though it's not come part of this budget, the capital gains tax rates, there is a big confusion, especially after the last budget. As rightly pointed out, last budget, the Honorable Finance Minister during the course of the budget announced saying that we are reducing the long-term capital gains from 20% to 12.5%. We are very happy, we are all clapping, cheering and all. Then we had, on the day of the budget, we had a session last time, and I think by the time budget finished, it was around 1 o'clock. Our session was at 4. So we are waiting for the memorandum and the actual list of the changes. When the list of the changes came, I am preparing my PPT, I am going through. Suddenly I came across section 43, 45 is going to be amended, is going to be removed. What is that section? That happens to be indexation. Then I called my father, he was in the studio. I said, this section pertains to indexation only, no? He said, yes. I said, it seems like they've removed it. He said, no, Finance Minister didn't say anything. I said, I know she didn't say anything, but look at the memorandum, it is saying very clearly it is not there. Then I'm waiting for came to the seminar, I mentioned this point, we could not put the calculations well in time. I'm waiting till night, nobody in news is talking about it. Nobody is talking about it. I said, whether I got it wrong, I have misunderstood it. Then slowly, when it started dawning the next day morning, everyone started waking up. Indexation removed, indexation is gone. How can they remove indexation, etc. Huge furor. And when the Honorable Finance Minister and the entire team were questioned, they said, no, as per our calculations, 12.5 is better. Even indexation is not there, it does not matter and all. But then you saw the kind of response it was there, so much so that they had to roll back the amendment. So they said, no, indexation are also there. We are giving you an option. If you want, you take indexation. If you don't want, you don't have to take. But then, this is why I wanted to cover this, is that there are multiple conditions associated to that many people are not aware. They have not fully rolled back that. You may think, indexation is back. Let me clarify to you. It is back, but with some conditions. What is those conditions? So before I move on to that, one thing I do want to touch upon. In the last 5 or 6 budgets, what is presented in the parliament is probably 50%. And the balance 50% has so many important amendments, so to speak, that only when we read the memo we come to find out. I'm happy to say that in this budget that has not happened. There are many amendments which was not presented, but every single amendment is good. There's absolutely no one who can say that is not, why that was not discussed. Whereas in the earlier budgets, indexation removed, not at all discussed. Change from regular assessment to block assessment. It's a huge change which was done for search and survey cases, not at all discussed in parliament. So this budget, every single thing was discussed, presented. Anything that could have warranted a discussion was presented. The other ones are universally accepted. Nobody will say, other than that one sir who said 1 star. Other than that, everyone else will universally accept all these changes are good only. So I must appreciate that has happened. So coming back to the capital gains, what is the current scenario? If you are selling a share, or you are selling a mutual fund, or you are selling a house property or a land, how is the capital gains tax? First thing you must note, the definition of period of holding was modified. In the last budget, in July 2024, the Honorable Finance Minister modified the period of holding. So now, if you are holding listed equity shares, equity mutual funds, or other listed debentures, then in that case, it is long term if you hold it for more than 12 months. If you hold it for more than 12 months, it becomes long term. Any other asset other than this, if you hold it for 24 months, it becomes long term. Earlier, there were 3 categories. 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. They have completely scrapped the 36 months. Now it is just 24 months or 12 months. Now, what about the rates? As I told you, in the last budget, no indexation was there for property sale. It was rolled back after a lot of criticism, lot of feedback, lot of response which was escalated. It was rolled back, but it was not rolled back in full. What do I mean by that? These are the new capital gains rates. Today, if you are selling, these are the applicable rates for you. If I sell short-term capital gains on listed equity shares and mutual funds, it is now 20%. Earlier, it was 15%. From July 2024, it's modified. Now it is 20%. 20% is your rate. What if I sell a land, building, or any other assets which is short-term in nature, less than 24 months? I am selling it. Your rate is your slab rate. If you choose the new regime, the new slab rates. If you choose the old tax regime, whatever the old slab regime, slab rates are applicable. So your slab rates are applicable for short term on sale of any assets here, such as building and other assets. What about long term for equity shares, etc.? Equity shares and mutual funds, it is now 12.5%. Earlier it was 10% and 1 lakh exemption. Now it is 12.5% with 1,25,000 exemption. This was modified in the July 2024 budget. Sir, is indexation applicable here? It was never applicable before also. Now also it is not applicable. Don't get confused. Indexation was never there for shares, etc. So equity shares and all, no indexation concept. Please don't get confused with indexation rolled back, come back, etc. Equity shares, mutual funds, no concept of indexation. It was a straight slab rate only, or straight fixed rate. Now that fixed rate is 12.5, increased from 10%. Now what if I sell long-term capital gains on sale of land and building? You now have 2 options. If I choose no indexation option, then I have a flat rate of 12.5%. What does that mean? Sale value minus purchase value minus improvement value. I constructed a building, I have a land, purchase value of the land is my cost of acquisition. So I constructed a house on that. Whatever is my cost of construction, I can minus that. Whatever comes is your profit. That profit will be taxed at 12.5%. No question of indexation, blah, blah. Otherwise, our grand old regime, which is I minus the cost of acquisition, I index it to cost of inflation, etc. I constructed on that land 15 years back, 20 years back. My cost of construction also I can index it, and the resulting gain from this I will tax it at 20%. I will tax it at 20%. Please remember, there is one more condition here. Condition number 1. If I purchased a property on 23rd July 2024, from 23rd July on or after 23rd July 2024, then though that property, whenever I sell it, if I sell it after 10 years also, I will not have indexation on it. So any property is purchased after 22nd July 2024, you will not have indexation ever. In the future also, unless they decide to bring it back, it will never be there. Indexation will not be there. Sir, why 23rd July? Why such a odd date? Is it your birthday? It's not my birthday. That's the date the budget was presented. The full budget. Because normally budget is presented on 1st of February. But last year we had the elections which happened. And due to the election, they presented only an interim budget in the last 1st of February. So the full budget, after the government took full charge, they presented on 22nd July 2024. That's why they have that cut-off date. That's why they have that. It's not simply one date. Nice date. No. It's the budget date, so that's why they did. So 22nd July, any property purchased after that budget date, you will never have indexation even after the rollback. Even today, after they roll back, if you purchase the property after 22nd July, no concept of indexation for you. So if you purchase the property before 22nd July and you are selling it whenever, you still have indexation option, or you can choose without indexation as well. Point number 1. Point number 2. Sir, what about gold? I have gold jewelry, gold bar, etc. I am selling that gold jewelry, gold bar. Do I have indexation on that? Before, you used to have indexation. Then in the last budget, they said no indexation. Then they rolled back indexation. But they rolled back indexation only for immovable property. So if you are selling gold, jewelry, bar, etc., you still don't have indexation. Forget 22nd July, before, after, nothing. You don't have, no matter when. When you purchased, it does not matter. There is no concept of indexation for any other long-term capital asset which is not a land and building. It is no indexation concept is there for that. Sir, I melted the gold, I made a bigger chain, I don't care. You don't have indexation. It is what it is. You cannot change it, is what they said. Now that is the second point. The third critical point, another major point that many people forget. If you are a NRI, a non-resident, and you are selling a property in India, which is happening demographically, this is a major point now, because demographically, there is a huge population in India who left India, went mostly to the US and other developed economies, and now their parents of those people who left are getting old. Those people and all have settled in the US, their children are there, so they will never come back to India. But their parents have land and building, etc. in India. Now they need to sell that land and building. Now if the parents are still alive, and the property is still in their name, whatever we discussed is still applicable. They have the option, indexation or without indexation, they can choose to do. But what if the parents say, I am getting old, I want to settle the property to you, I want to gift it to you, I am writing a will, you are inheriting the property after my death. If the parents either settle or transfer the property, or it is inherited by the NRI, they do not have indexation even if the property is purchased before 22nd July. So if you are a NRI, you don't have indexation option at all. You don't have indexation option at all. I satisfy conditions, does not matter. The only condition is you are Indian, you are resident Indian. All other conditions, no NRI. So NRI, no concept of indexation is there. NRI is always stepbrother in our country. We want US dollars, but you will not give you tax benefit. So they do not get the indexation if it is a NRI. So if you have any clients who have aging parents, and the clients are there in America or outside India, anywhere, whichever country it may be, advise them, if they are thinking of the sale, let the parent only sell it during their lifetime. Don't take it in your name and settle it, because if that happens, you are stuck with a single rate without indexation at 12.5. If it works out beneficial, okay, but in many cases it does not, because most of these properties are old properties and maybe ancestral properties, and when they inherit it, they sell it immediately saying, what I will do. You know, we had a client who's based in Australia, and they came to India only sole purpose of selling their property. That's all, nothing else. They are saying, we are settled there, we'll never come back. Both parents are no more. We have no roots in India. They only want to sell the property. But huge tax implication, because they do not have the concept of indexation. It's a huge property and almost 14 grounds or something in the heart of the city. So they are going to lose the benefit of indexation because they are non-residents. They are not, and the amount is coming somewhere. Huge figure we are talking about. When the real situation, cost of acquisition, when you index it, etc., the figure comes so high, the capital gains is very less. The next critical point which many people ask, fair market value as of 1/4/2001. Yes. That is true. Sir's point is valid. They can be resident for a year. If their wife allows, they can do it. Husband or wife are fine with it. But whether they can really take away from their work and family be away for that long. Frank? Work from home, yes, that is happening. Sir's point is valid. If they can settle in India for 180 days and do it, they will be entitled to this benefit, but they need to plan accordingly for 6 months and hope that in the 6 months the law doesn't change further. Next budget we will change it. Sir, you put 5 months for this. No, we have changed it. So they have to have a lot of conditions are there, but if they satisfy, definitely, as sir rightly suggested, if they become a resident, then they get the benefit for that year. So this is the main thing. And of course, the major point, what if I have a property which was purchased in 1987? Now, as per the indexation methodology, we used to take the fair market value as on 1/4/2001 and then index it from that price. We used to index it from there into whatever is the inflation index divided by 100, like that we used to calculate it. Now, when they are saying takes the cost of acquisition without indexation, what price should I take? Should I take the purchase price in 1987, or can I take the fair market value as on 1/4/2001? The answer is, you can take the fair market value on 1/4/2001. You need not take the 1987 price. Now again, why the confusion arose is when the press conference, when the Honorable Finance Minister was questioned, someone asked, sir, what if I have a property purchased in 1987? Can I take indexation of that? They said, yes, you can take indexation. So many people thought, oh, if it is purchased before 1/4/2001, I can take indexation. They did not mean indexation. They meant fair market value as on 1/4/2001. So that you can treat it as the cost of acquisition. But what we have seen, as per many cases that we have seen, in majority of these cases, this in non-indexation option is not beneficial. Indexation, because the inflation is considered, it ends up being substantially more beneficial. So that is the summary as far as capital gains is concerned. So no changes to capital gains rates. That is a 5-star. Even though they did not do anything, I am rating that 5-star. If they did, I would have rated lower. So that gets a 5-star change for me. One of the last 2 major changes, this is a very important one. The Honorable Finance Minister said, now up to 2 properties you can keep as self-occupied. And she announced, I said, what is this? Already 2 property you can allow as self-occupied. Why they are announcing this? It does not seem like a major development is what I thought. But what, if you see the fine print, it says that a person is allowed to take a property, treat a property as self-occupied as long as he is leaving that city for either employment or work or business. Then he can treat that property as self-occupied. Let's assume I am a woman who is based in Bombay and I have a property in my name. I get married, my husband happens to be in Delhi. So I move to Delhi to live with my husband. Can I treat my property in Bombay as self-occupied? The answer was no, because you did not move for work, you did not move for business. You move for personal, so therefore you cannot treat it as self-occupied. It has to be treated as if it is let out. This was a very, very odd condition which was there. Luckily, the department never went into these conditions much before. They were kind enough not to do it. But what the finance minister has done is they have removed that condition altogether. No matter what purpose you are leaving, no matter what reason it is empty, you can treat up to 2 house properties as self-occupied. So I rated it 2-star. The only reason because why only 2 properties? Why you are not saying if I have 3 empty properties, you allow 3 also to be taken as empty. But they said no, we will treat it as deemed to be let out. If you have more than 2 properties which are vacant or empty, only 2 will be treated at nil value. More than 2, they will put a deemed calculation as if it is let out. So why they have decided at 2, why not more? I still don't know. That's why I put as 2-star. It's a good amendment, but there can be more be done. There can be more that can be done here. So the final major amendment, and this is an important one, updated return. Now what is this updated return? Till about 2016 or 2017, till around that time, you could file returns for how many ever years you want. There are assessors who will come and they'll say, sir, I have not filed my return for last 10 years, I want to file. You get the details, you used to file the return of income for 10 years. Then the department stopped that. They said only up to the belated period you can file, which is 1 year from the end of that relevant assessment. At that time, now it is end of the assessment year itself. In fact, 3 months before end of the assessment year. So you cannot file for more than 1.5 years. That's your time limit for filing a return of income. After 1.5 years over, that year gone, you cannot file the return. So many people, especially business people who wanted to take loans, normally bank will ask for last 3 years, give the last 3 years returns. If they have not filed, they can now file only for 1 year. They cannot file for the 3 years. Bank will say, I will not give you loan, go away. So many people, they are stuck in a position where they want to comply, they are willing to comply, but they did not have an option. So the government, maybe 2 or 3 budgets back, they brought something called an updated return, where they said now you can file up to 3 years, current year, previous year, and the year before that. So up to 3 years you can file your return now. Current year anyway regular rates, you are filing it within time, no problem. The previous year, if you are late by 12 months, you are late by 12 months. Then you have to pay the tax, plus you should pay 25% of the tax plus interest as a penalty, and you can file the return. So what if it's a longer period? If it is 12 months up to 24 months, that is 1 to 2 years you are delayed, then you can file the return, pay the tax, plus 50% of the tax plus interest. Now they have brought 2 more categories. Oh, great success. Let us bring 2 more categories. 2 more categories. You have 24 months to 36 months now. You have to pay 60% of the tax plus interest as a penalty. And 36 months to 48 months, 70% tax plus interest. Now what will happen is that if you bring 60%, 70% and all, there is one section called unexplained income, unexplained assets, etc. Where I have some assets, I have some income, I am not filing, I am not disclosing. Even after you find out, I am not able to explain where it came from. Then they say in such scenarios, we will tax it at 60%. Because you are not telling what it is, you are not disclosed also. So we are going to tax it at a 60%, they are saying. Now in updated return, they are saying you only declare at 60%, declare at 70%. Why I should do it? You only find out. If you find out, it is 60%. If I do it, it is 70% for me. You only do the work and you find out. So this is rates of 60%, 70% up to very, very high, to the point where people will think why I should file. Well, let them only find out. Yes, sir. Yes. That is true. Sir has a very valid point where he says that penalty prosecution will be done if department do it. But as a person in appeals, I can say we will always fight it. So even though department can do penalty prosecution, it's always dispute, but sir is valid. If you self-declare, they will not initiate any penalty and prosecution. But the fact remains that the rates are little high. But the logic is, today there are a lot of MSMEs, lot of businesses who have not been compliant for whatever reason. They are on personal reasons, they are not aware, lack of knowledge, lack of proper advice. They have not filed their returns at all. Suddenly they get a business idea, they see the budget, oh, government is giving so many schemes, I will start that business. I go to start the business, bank first thing they say, give me your returns. Sir, I have not filed. File it now. Sir, I cannot file. Now they are saying, no, you can file. So the amount becomes very high because they say, if you want so much loan, so much income you should have. He is willing to pay the tax on that income. So because he needs that capital, he ends up paying 60% penalty as well or 70% penalty as well, because that capital the bank is giving to him is so high, he needs that. At least we have to look at this positively. Government have given an avenue for all these people to file a return. Till before this, I could not file even if I wanted to. There was no way. If bank says give me your return of income, I cannot give. I can only prepare manually. I cannot show them. I have filed it to the income tax department. Now at least I can do that. But at the same time, the rates are very, very steep, very, very high. So I have given it a 1 star. Of course, each person can give their own expectation. Yes, sir. Sir. Yes, sir, has a valid point. Point is, if you have to file an updated return, you need to have taxable income that you have to pay tax on. There should not be zero tax. If I say I want to file my return, nil return I will file. You cannot file. I want to file my return. I missed claiming loss. Capital gains loss is there. I missed claiming. Can I file? You cannot file. Updated return you can file only if there is tax payable. If there is benefit for the department, only you can file. If there's benefit for the assessee, you cannot file updated return. So if there's tax payable, only then. That is why you can calculate this tax plus interest. Otherwise, if it is nil rated, it will always be zero only. Penalty will always be zero. So thank you, sir, for bringing that to light. It's a very valid point. So it is not for nil returns. I want to comply, I will file nil return. 12 lakh rebate, I will file now. No, you cannot file. Unless you pay tax, you cannot file. 1 rupee he can file, but that calculation to get that 1 rupee will be very difficult because our slab rates do not allow it. I give you an example. It's a real scenario that faced. One person, he was he's filed his return. Within the due date, he has filed the return. But what happened, as soon as he filed, he left the country. He's a doctor, he left for some international conference, something. During this time, they have reduced the window for e-verification from 120 days to 30 days. I have to verify my return that I have filed, either with Aadhaar OTP or I have to sign it and send it. They reduced it from 120 days to 30 days. He has missed it. You tried OTP, that person has not got it because he's abroad. Message is not coming on time. He's come back after 30 days, he has not followed up, nothing. Then what happened? He has gone to purchase a car. When he is purchasing a car, the TCS they deducted at double the rate. So what it should be done at 0.1%, done at 5% or something. So he says, sir, I have to pay additional 5%. They are refusing to sell the car to me. I said, why you are paying 5%? I will speak to them. Then they said, no sir, he has not filed his return of income. So where an assessee has not filed his return for the last 3 years, then in that case the TDS, TCS rates are higher. The rates become higher. So his rate became higher. That's when we realized that he has not verified the return. This has happened almost 6 or 7 months after the return is filed. So belated period is also over because 31st December is the belated year. So he is not able to file a belated return. He's actually filed a return, acknowledgement, everything is there. But it has become invalid because of non-verification within 30 days. Now there is an option for condonation where you do it physically and you request a condonation, but they are not condoning. So what we did, we said, okay, let us go for a 119(2)(b), what they call the commissioner has the power to condone and allow you to file a return of income as if it is within the due date. So we did that application. We said, okay, it is within the due date. We showed, sir, this is the return. We tried filing, we could not do it, everything is done, but that 30 days time because of that, later only it came to know this is the communication from the car vendor. We were really taken by shock. They said, okay, you can file it. But when we are filing it, sir, because one of the members in the audience, respected Srinivasan sir, said, you can file updated return by showing 1 rupee tax, by paying 1 rupee tax. Calculating that 1 rupee tax is very difficult. Because similar to this provision, 119(2)(b) also, assessee should have a benefit. Only then you can file 119(2)(b). Either I should have a loss carry forward or I should have a refund, etc. So we paid extra 100 rupees tax. You said 1 rupee, we paid 100 itself, very amount. So he said 100 rupees tax we will pay for refund. So paid extra 100 rupees and said we have to get a refund. But as per the calculation, what is coming? The interest is being calculated on the tax payable and not the tax paid. So it is treating the return as if it is not filed. So 234 ABC interest is being calculated till today. So it is saying you have to pay tax of 21,000. See, if I file an updated return, it will be 21,000 plus 50% of that 21,000, which the daughter will say, I will retire only, I don't need to file. So this is a little high. So timing that amount, making the exact amount may be difficult, but at least what that person can afford, you can calculate and do it as per that. So transfer pricing, some provisions have changed, not applicable to 90%, but it is changed over here. Some major changes are there, which we will be covering in the international taxation. But finally, who needs to file a return of income? Most important thing. As I told you, the traditional criteria has always been income based, which is as per the old tax regime. If your income, your gross total income is more than 2.5 lakhs, or if you're a senior citizen more than 3 lakhs, or super senior citizen more than 5 lakhs, you need to file your return of income. But of course, under the new regime, these amounts have increased, which is, it is now, if you are a non-senior citizen, it is 4 lakhs. If you are a senior citizen, it is 4 lakhs. If you are a super senior citizen, also it is 4 lakhs. Because in the new tax regime, there's no distinction between senior, non-senior, etc. It is 4 lakhs for all. It is 4 lakhs for all. Whether you are 85, 95 or 25 also, they don't care. Everyone is 4 lakhs only. So your basic limit, your gross total income, if it crosses 4 lakh rupees, before exemptions, before whatever little deductions are there, you must file your return of income. But it does not stop there. Very, very important point that people miss. If you have expense-based criteria also, you have to file your return of income. Where electricity bill paid more than rupees 1 lakh, foreign travel more than 2 lakh, credits to bank statement of 50 lakhs. One simple thing. How many of you have been to Alsa Mall? So, how many of you, no, lesser hands, but I say, how many have been to that sandwich shop next to Alsa Mall? More hands will go up. If nobody goes to that mall, the one small sandwich shop is there outside that which everyone goes to. So in that sandwich shop, generally you see, there will be a line of 30-40 people there anytime you go. Anytime you go, 30-40 people will be standing there. And let us take a scenario that they are going to that sandwich shop, they are buying a sandwich, 40 rupees one sandwich. Then they may buy biscuit, bun, some cool drink, etc. So per person billing is 100 rupees. 30 customers per hour. So that's 30 into 100 per hour that they are earning, which is 3,000 rupees. So they will be running the shop at least for 10 hours. So 3,000 into 10, 30,000 per day is their billing. I am not talking about profit, billing. 30,000 is the billing per day. If you calculate for the full year, it will come somewhere around 3.5 to 4 crores, etc. So they are a tax audit assessee. That person who is selling that sandwich is a tax audit assessee. Whether he will be filing a tax audit report, whether he will be filing a return of income, whether he will be getting a GST registration crossing 20 lakhs, he will not even have a PAN number. Forget having all this, he will not have a PAN number at all. So therefore, there are people who are billing, earning and crossing these limits, but not at all having any kind of registration whatsoever. Income tax can find out, no, how many sandwich shops they will send inspectors to stand there. They can do for 1 or 2. How many shops can they go across the country? And so you may have seen the big news, as if it is a negative thing. Pani Puri vendor got GST notice. All of you saw that? Pani Puri vendor. And some person came and told me, Inna sir, on the income tax department, GST department, they are sending to Pani Puri vendor. I said, boss, he has collected more than 60 lakhs. What you are coming and telling me, as if some crime. He is only doing the crime. He has collected 60 lakhs, he is not at all registered. You are saying what? You are sending notice. Why he is not filing the return? It's not as if that if you are a Pani Puri vendor, you are exempted. That criteria not yet they have introduced. Maybe next budget. But as it stands, whether you are sandwich vendor, Pani Puri vendor or whatever business you are doing, you have to file your returns if your criteria are satisfied. But there's no way of tackling and finding these people out. But luckily, this, even though it is an income tax, there is a outflow based tax or expense tax criteria to file your return. If you see these criteria, I would say majority of the people who have even a basic income will have to file the return of income. And that's why, once again, I would say it's absolutely necessary, gathering of large number of professionals and taxpayers here to advise people, when in doubt, better to file the return of income, because today we are in an era where digitization gives the income tax whatever information they need. It's only a matter of time. Today Pani Puri vendor, tomorrow could be you also. So ensure that you file your return of income, ensure you disclose it, do it well within the due dates over here. Thank you very much for a very patient listening, and over to the organizers. Thank you very much.